Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today. Hey, today I'm going to be going live with a very special guest, Evan from FDN. And we are going to be talking about how to start your wellness business. For those of you who don't know what FDN stands for, it's called Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. And it's a school that you can learn all the things about wellness and how to help your clients and how to do lab tests and all that kind of stuff. So if you're ever curious about that, you can always message me. I do think it's a great program. I do think it's a great school. A lot of my clients have come from that school and they feel really confident in their coaching skills. But we're going to go ahead and bring Evan on. Bringing him on. Hey.
Hey, Hailey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I can hardly remember a time I was better. Thank you for asking. I'm ready for this.
Wow. I like that answer. Awesome.
It always throws people off, but it gets them paying attention. So, no, but I am doing well. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I was just giving everybody the scoop about where you come from and what you guys do over at FDN. But I want to first have you introduce yourself and what you do. And then we'll go from there and talk about starting a wellness business and all the things you had to learn and advice and all that kind of stuff. So here we go.
Sure. So my name's Evan Transu. I went through FDN about 6 years ago, and now they can't get rid of me. I always kind of make that lame joke. I do course enrollment for them. I host the podcast, which you have actually not only been on before, but we'll be doing that together tomorrow. So stay tuned. I won't be live, I don't believe, but we'll have that out for you guys in a couple of weeks. So that'll be fun. But really what happened is from the age of like 5 years old all the way up until 19, I was dealing with really severe health issues. And it started out with, I don't want to call it simple stuff, but stuff that was easy enough to ignore even by 2 loving parents, right? You go to the doctor, okay, they can kind of help, but they couldn't really do what we needed to, so we move on. The thing was, though, as the years went on, the diagnoses started stacking, and by the age of 18, I actually had 7 different diagnosed conditions. So even as someone who didn't have a medical background, which of course I didn't at 18, common sense told me this didn't add up. I'm like, how do I have GERD with Meniere's disease, with depression, with panic disorder, with chronic sinusitis? Like, there was just too much stuff going on. And so it led me down this journey that's just been a really fun one at this point of learning about natural health and functional medicine. And that's how I got into FDN. I have always taken clients loosely ever since I did the program. But really, Hailey, what I used it for initially was I've been speaking in schools for the last 5-6 years professionally to kids. I've been blessed enough to give over 500 professional presentations at this point, which is fun, but it's killed me in a different way. So now I've been doing a lot more FDN stuff, and I currently have a health and wellness business in person in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and we have a few FDNs working for us there. So I do know the business side, despite just having been mostly involved in speaking for the last several years.
That is so awesome. And congratulations on all of your success and the way that you have turned your own challenges now into helping others and making an impact. And for some reason, I have to tell you, I think there's so many health coaches in Pennsylvania. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, maybe
I don't know if you're changing the world. Or...
Yeah, and everyone's getting sick. I don't know. But well, it's weird. It's a side note, but it actually matters to your question. My girlfriend, when she lived in Washington and the West Coast for most of her life, and when she came out east, she said, I can't believe how often I'm hearing about cancer. And we looked up the cancer rates by state, and I mean, it's a separate thing from the podcast, but you guys should look up the rates of cancer by state in America, and you can see it's concentrated in certain areas. Now, obviously, not everyone becomes a health coach for cancer, but I would have to imagine if a place has higher rates of cancer, I would bet some good money that would correlate with autoimmunity and other things, a lot of the stuff that health coaches typically get into the business for. So, yeah, I mean, I do know a lot of people out here doing it, but I also know 10 times more sick people, right, that need the services.
Yeah, that's so interesting. No, it's the only reason why I say that is because like so many of my clients are from Pennsylvania, and I'm just like, why? I don't understand why. I'm in Illinois, but I'm like, I'm all for it, but it's just funny. Okay, so I have to ask you, when you started to coach clients yourself, it all starts, I think, with a good foundation and having, a clear grasp on what you want to help people with, right? So how did you decide where you wanted to start when you wanted to help people with wellness? Because you had a lot of your own challenges, and maybe you thought to yourself, I should help people with the challenges I've had, or maybe you thought I should go a different route. Like, what was kind of your mindset in when you were first starting? Like, how did you decide what you wanted to do?
Sure. So for whatever it's worth, in the beginning, I had no business experience or training. I wasn't really thinking in that way yet. I had read a lot of personal development books, and some of that overlaps with sales and other business topics, but I had nothing that you offer, right? So I went into this with the common sense and just my heart in the place of, okay, well, I had really severe mental health issues. That was kind of my biggest story. I don't hide this. This is public information. I mean, I went from this super nerdy, happy kid, straight A student, to someone who got kicked out of high school 17 days in. And it's not an excuse, but a lot of this came from drugs I was using, which came directly from the mental health issues that never got resolved, right? So I figured if I can go help people with that, man, that's a pretty good use of my life and my time here on this earth. Like, I'd love to be able to give people insights into that. So I did what is now pretty typical, I would say, business advice and pretty sound advice. Take that stuff that you're dealing with and that you know best and you have the passion for, and go out and help other people. So yes, I marketed it mostly as mental health support, not a cure by any means, but hey, if you're not getting the results that you wanted from Western medicine, like me, I might be able to help you a little bit. So that's how I started.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. So you got to start somewhere, and then over time you might find out your message evolves, or you can help with more things, or word spreads and somebody else has a different health condition that they want support with. So what are some things you need to know as a brand new wellness coach when it comes to what you cannot say and what you can say in your marketing?
Sure. So this is something that FDN teaches, but hopefully every school does as well that teaches something similar, like to what we teach in our curriculum. We don't diagnose or treat anything. And in fact, not only should you not say that, that's probably not what you want to do. Most of the clients that come to us, I found, and I was a client myself in a sense, before I ever became a practitioner, we already have the diagnoses. We've already been treated. It's not working in the way that we wanted it to work. So I think a lot of people get almost nervous or intimidated saying, well, I can't do what the doctor does. I'm like, fantastic. They've already been to the doctor. That's why they're coming to you. You think really when they first had their health symptoms, they wanted to call the local health coach as opposed to their family MD? That's I'd love to believe we're that special. That's not how it goes. They came to us because the other stuff didn't work. So you definitely don't want to talk about diagnosing or treating. That's a legality thing. But the other thing I would say is don't go too broad. And I don't mean to give typical marketing advice, but seriously, I can't stress this enough. There's people out there talking about being a root cause practitioner for anything, just for anything in general. Well, if I'm on Instagram and I'm scrolling aimlessly, like some of you might have been before you hopped on this live with us, you're scrolling aimlessly and I'm not talking to you directly, or someone's not talking to me directly, I'm going to keep scrolling aimlessly. And then finally, there are those things that really catch our eye. So it might be, if it's okay, I'd like to talk about what I would probably do to contrast that to the bad side. So if I'm just a root cause practitioner, I'm scrolling down my Instagram feed, I see someone says, I can help you get to the root cause of any health issue. That's interesting. I'm looking at that probably because I'm into natural health at that point, but okay, what do you know about me? There's like a bunch of health issues out there. So now I'm scrolling down and there's a cat attacking another cat or something, and I'm watching that for 60 seconds. Versus, in addition to the mental health issues, I had very severe cystic acne. So let's say someone on there is saying, hey, are you tired of being nervous about family photos or getting on an Instagram story or whatever it might be because your skin looks so bad that you have such low self-confidence? Okay, you got me a little bit now. Now I'm stopping there. I'm going to ignore the cats. and I'm going to come and listen to what you have to say. Now, there's more to marketing than just that. There's got to be good copy, a good offer, or somewhere to go, or call to action rather. But now you've stopped me from the endless scrolling. So the bad is too broad. Don't say that. Definitely don't say something illegal, and don't go too broad, because otherwise no one's paying attention. The opposite of that is speaking to a very specific person with their unique pain points. That's how you get their attention and let them know, hey, I can serve you and I can help you.
Nice. So I'm hearing that to stand out, you want to have specific pain points or a hook statement that can grab the person you're trying to reach's attention. And the other thing that you mentioned is you can't say you can treat or diagnose or cure anything like that in your messaging, just to be safe and legally. What were some other things because you probably felt really confident in your actual education because you did FDN and you were able to learn all of that, but maybe you didn't feel so confident in the business side of things because, as you said before, you had never started a business before. So how did you overcome that fear or feeling stuck or feeling like, I don't know if this is the right action to take? Because I see a lot of people not taking any action at all just because they're like, well, I don't want to do this thing and then it be the wrong thing, or then it not get a response or whatever. And so then they just completely don't do anything, or they do random busy work things. Like, I'm just going to post pictures of my cat on Instagram just to post. Right. So what would you say to that?
So this was something I struggled with greatly, and my colleagues now might not even believe this, but I was very perfectionistic growing up. I wanted everything to be straight A's. I needed everything at 100%. And you could say some of that just came from the anxiety, and that's fine. But this is a really common thing, and you're hitting on it perfectly, where you talk about you get involved with the busy work, or worse, you don't even do anything. At least the busy work might manifest something eventually. Doing nothing definitely won't. And so I think if you are going to go out there and be an entrepreneur, and not that I'm some top level entrepreneur, but I am one by definition, you have to start thinking differently than the average person. And I say average because 1/3 of Americans, for example, employ the other 2/3 of Americans. There is a reason that occurs. So an entrepreneur has to be someone that is willing to accept the fact that there is going to be almost constant turbulence in the business. Now, that doesn't mean every day is the worst day ever. That's not what I'm saying, but it's learning to ride with the waves. And so I didn't know this in the beginning. I had that analysis by paralysis. I also had limiting beliefs around charging, which we can talk about next if that's relevant to the question. But I eventually had to accept, and I can't stress enough, just go do this. Just start with one thing, right? Just start something, not busy work, but maybe something that you actually know could benefit you. Maybe it is posting on social. Maybe it's calling a friend or family member that you know would be relevant. Start there, and most likely you're not going to do it the best way the first time. That is a part of entrepreneurship. You have to be constantly getting uncomfortable, and then it becomes routine. I'm not saying it ever becomes perfectly comfortable, but it does become routine. So, Hailey, when we were starting my business in person, it's called Bucks County Light Therapy and Functional Medicine Center. My business partner was originally like, well, what are we, what's the main plan to get clients? I'm like, I don't know about that right now. And this sounds crazy. I didn't know about that in day one. I said, I know this service is useful to people. Let's start there. And so for some people, you might even want to be more planned than that. But I know if I get too caught up, I get into those perfectionistic tendencies. So I deal with the problems as they come. All right, we have this in-person business. We have a really cool service. It's a clean place. No one's coming in. What's next? How do I get those people to come in? So that's how it works for me. You got to give up perfectionism and just learn that entrepreneurship's a fun problem to solve on a daily basis. That's really a good way to look at it, I think.
Ooh, I love that quote. Entrepreneurship is a fun daily problem to solve, because there's always new things that you got to adapt to and learn and, do. And you're right. You're juggling a lot of different skills that you've never done before. And it's very normal to be bad at something brand new before you put in the reps and before you get good at it. So I think having this expectation that you're just going to come in and crush your first sales call or crush your first live video or whatever is just setting yourself up for that analysis paralysis. And of course, I'm not going to do it. Right. But when you come in and you're like, obviously I'm learning so many new skills right now. And this is like, whatever the phrase is, like drinking out of a fire hose or whatever. And I just have to do it and evaluate and keep getting better and keep moving. That's where I see the entrepreneurs who succeed. But the other thing is you're probably going back to what you said about taking one thing at a time, like you don't have a boss. So you are totally on your own as far as here's what I have to figure out today. Here's what I need to brainstorm and solve for today. And it's totally up to you to figure it out. And it's not like you're going to just come in, here's your responsibilities, do it and clock out, right? So I want to go to the thing you mentioned though, because one of the skills you said that you had to learn was overcoming your fear of charging and being able to actually sell. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I know so many coaches who struggle with this. What were you afraid of when it comes to charging in the beginning of your business? And how did you start to get out of that?
This is like probably one of the most important things we'll talk about, right? Because this is what, they're already health coaches, right? They're just going to struggle with this. So there's kind of two things. One is the fear of rejection. Like looking back, I can see this. And this is the reason for the paralysis with all of this stuff. Nothing's guaranteed in entrepreneurship. There is constant turbulence. And so there is the fear of the rejection. I'm saying this on the phone and the person's going to say no. Newsflash, you could have the best offer in the world for $10. Someone's still going to say no. Like that's how it goes. And Jim Rohn, I don't know if you know him, he's a famous speaker. He's since passed away, but he talked about, he's like, well, those are just the people that say no, right? They're going to say no to everything. And then there's the people that say yes to everything. And then there's a section of people that you kind of have the ability to persuade one way or the other if it's relevant. So one was just that fear of rejection. But let's get past that. Then there's projection. I was 21 at the time. I was just starting out my career, and the packages I wanted to charge, because this is what FDN kind of taught me to do, to serve people at the highest level, were a few $1,000s. I mean, Hailey, thank God I'm doing a lot better now. But at that time, I don't even think I had made $4,000 or $5,000 in a month, because I never really worked full time being so sick. So I was projecting onto other people. How stupid is this? Projecting onto other people what they could or couldn't afford, as if I somehow know them. And what's helped me with this to get over this is I actually look at, this is crazy, but I look at numbers and statistics for the USA, because that's where my clients come from. Guys, the top 1% of USA earners, which is 3.3 million people, by the way, earn $436,000 a year. I actually think it's higher now with the stuff that's happened over the last few years and the economy changing. So over $400,000, 3.3 million people, they can afford your services. The top 3% are like, I think, a high 100,000 or 200,000. We're talking single income earners, not households, single income earners. There are tens of millions of people out there that are making significant money, more than enough to do a package like this. There are also credit cards. We're not here to decide how the person pays for this, right? If they need it bad enough, they're going to figure it out. So Hailey, to answer your question concisely, then it was one, a fear of rejection. I just didn't want to hear no, but that's going to happen. So get over it. Two, tough love. Two is the projection. And this is even worse, because rejection, none of us want to feel that. I don't want to feel that still to this day. So I can get that, but do not project onto someone else what they can or can't afford. You're hurting them by doing that, and you're hurting yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit disempowering to, number one, assume somebody doesn't want, because sometimes investing in somebody's wellness, it causes them to prioritize it better, and they know they need to do that to be able to actually show up to it. And sometimes too, like assuming what's in somebody else's wallet is none of your business. Your job is to be the business owner and the service provider and have a service at a certain rate. And whatever somebody else on the other side's, challenges are, if they want to make it work, if they don't, etc., it's not necessarily something that, you need to be like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to guess that they can't afford it. And I think too, obviously you can have payment plans, you can have different level offers in your business to accommodate a bigger reach of people. There's stuff that you can do to navigate pricing and all of that. But I think you made a really good point there of rejection and projection. Now I want to ask you a little bit about when you said being able to not assume that well, two things. You said rejection. So what if, because you're selling something that's a couple grand, I just heard recently in a book that they phrased it a really good way. Like, I think people are like, oh, I'm afraid if I charge too much, I'm going to miss out on this opportunity, and I just want to book the client. And the truth is, you're going to have hard conversations about price, no matter what your price is. And you're going to have challenges either, by undercharging all the time and never being able to make your business a career, or you're going to have the problem of overcharging and not everybody says yes, but you're at least, this is your career and it's sustainable. So it's like, which hard do you want to choose? And no matter what, you're going to have conversations about price and objections, even if it was $10, whether it's $10 or $3,000.
Right.
So how do you, when you think about pricing, like helping people see the worth of investing in their health, because it's not one of those investments that's like, you're going to make $10,000 back, right? It's not that. So it's it's curing well, you can't say cure, but it's, better skin, it's better energy, it's more confidence. So going into how you've been able to do sales, how do you communicate the benefits and ROI of health? What are some ways you've done that in your own business to help people see the value of what you do?
Sure. And you're totally right, because, and people don't believe this at first, but it's never really a money thing so much as a value thing. And the reason I know that, I didn't come up with this example, it's from a book, and I unfortunately can't remember what it is right now. But the example itself was that if I had a $200,000 Ferrari in front of me and I said, today only I'm selling it for 10 grand, every single person on this podcast or on Instagram would somehow find that 10 grand, even if you have $500 in your bank account. You'd call someone, you do this. Now, again, that's extreme, right? The price is ridiculously low compared to the value. But somewhere between those two extremes, if you learn to sell the value, assuming that you actually have it, so make sure you're offering a good service that's ethical and actually provides what it says it's going to provide, that's where this comes in. So when we're doing packages at my business that are, $3,300 or $4,500, sometimes even more, I make sure that the value in that is way higher than that, so that the price doesn't become as much of an issue. And you talked about how do we actually deal with that with the person. Well, one, I'm kind of doing it the whole call by first qualifying them, right? I want to see where are they at with their health challenges, because I'm really big on, and FDN knows this, I love sales, but I love ethical sales. And I've used that word a few times already. I think sales should be solving a problem for someone and actually pushing them into that solution if you know they're qualified to do it. That's what good salesmanship is. It is pushing someone to make a decision if you know that it's good for them. Bad salesmanship, and we've all experienced this, is someone who pushes you regardless of whether or not it'd be a good fit for you. In fact, they didn't even ask if it was a good fit for you. So I'm qualifying them from pretty much the first questions I'm asking. I'm seeing, like, where's their headspace at with this? How long have they been dealing with it? Is it a week? Probably not going to spend $4,500, even if they're a millionaire. Why would they spend that amount if they've only been dealing with it for a week? But then let's take the opposite. If it's someone like myself that from basically 9 years old, Hailey, to 20, 19, 18, I kind of mix the numbers up, but it was somewhere in that range, I'm dealing with severe cystic acne. Okay, so this is a guy that otherwise I'm fairly confident normally. I like doing stuff like this. I can do this. But now I can't even talk to someone one-on-one without blushing because I'm so humiliated. Dating, I don't even ask people on dates because I'm making the assumption, oh, why would they want to do that? I'm taking away opportunities at jobs because I don't want to show my face on interviews or in person. And this was before the days that everyone and their brother's working online, right, with post-pandemic stuff. So that value, I mean, and I don't mean it cheesily, like we're talking about a job, an intimate relationship, and just self-satisfaction for life. That value to me was literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because remember, the career is included in there, and I'm not doing that. So hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of value. And those are the type of people that are best for these packages. I could charge 3 times the amount for my $4,500 package. And if I could get the results for me back then, and that was my client, I'm going to be happy that they charged me 15 grand for that because the value is so high. So the way to do this, in my opinion, before you even deal with objections and all those tactics, it's just qualify the person. Is this person someone you can actually help? How much pain are they in? And I'm not one of the, I don't like to be the guy that's digging into the pain or how do you feel about that? That's manipulative in its own right. But see if it's present. They'll let you know. Trust me. If you ask them, how long have you been dealing with this? And you get a 5-minute story about how it's been going on for 10, 20 years and every area of their life's been impacted. Okay, that's a person with some pain. So now I need to ask some other qualifying questions to make sure they're right for my program specifically or an FDN program specifically. And if that's the case, then it's my job to get them doing this and figure out the finance stuff. So I hope, does that answer your question? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, yeah, it's a whole different way to see sales. I love ethical sales, the way that you put that, because the way I see sales is really, it's like coaching someone to see what's the best solution for them. So I see it as coaching. I'm not dictating, hey, you need to do this program. It's more like, what do you think are your options? Which option do you like best? You know, how long have you been struggling with this? Like, it's asking open-ended questions to help someone see what is the possible solutions and what one might be best for them. And if it's my program, amazing. But regardless, I want to help them come to a decision. Whether it's my program or not, they need to decide to do something, because whatever they're doing right now isn't working. So I see that as my duty, is to help them decide what is the next step for them, right? Which I think is what you're saying too. It's like, your duty is to see if this makes sense for them, and if it doesn't, don't sell your offer. If it does, though, you know, it makes a lot of sense to offer it, not hide and not be wishy-washy and not confident. And the other thing I want to share is, there was a gym that's like very low cost, and somebody stopped going there, and the gym owner asked, "Oh, why'd you stop going there?" And it was because it was like, "Oh no, they probably think it's too expensive or something." And the person was like, "Oh, I really wanted a personal trainer, and I wanted a more, you know, high touch, like luxurious place," right? Yeah. So it's like, we make these judgments and assumptions, and sometimes people want the more, you know, hand touching and hand holding or whatever, and for more of a higher rate. But if you just guess and hide because you assume they don't want it, then, you know, nobody's getting the service that they want, right? So, yeah, were you guys say something? Sorry.
I was just going to say, it's still amazing to me to this day, because like, I do the course enrollment advising for FDN course, right? And our program is $9,000. Now, our program is totally worth that and more to someone who's interested in this stuff, right? So my dad, love him to death, God bless him, smokes 2 packs of cigarettes a day, right? FDN course isn't worth $100 to him, because he's not going to go do that stuff. But one is, I refer people out from our program all the time. Sometimes they're not looking for what we teach. And it's actually sad, because most people appreciate it. Some people, they're like, "Oh, is this a sales tactic? Like, why aren't you selling me this?" I'm like, because you're not a good fit for the course. So one thing I encourage people to do is it's not a religious or spiritual thing. Have faith in that. Do that with 10 people, because I genuinely believe and have experienced that outflow equals the inflow, but it's not always from the same place. So if you are good and honest to the people that you know don't belong in your program or whatever it is, all of a sudden, next day, you get a call from the person who is perfect fit, and they're ready to pay and sign up. And it just seems to work like that. But to your point about, I love that example with, "Oh no, I wanted a more luxurious experience at the gym. I wanted a personal trainer." I have been amazed with our program being $9 grand, how many people pay for that thing in full. It's all the time. They come in, "Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll send it over." I'm like, wow, okay. In this economy, in this month, still happening to this day. And it happens with the coaching side too. So yeah, rejection and projection, watch out for those two things.
Awesome tips. Yes. What would you say is changing nowadays in the wellness field? Is there anything that you feel has changed, and what people should be looking out for if they're a wellness-based business owner right now?
Things to be looking out for. I don't have anything like in a bad sense off the top of my head. I actually have something in a good sense. The consumers are more dedicated to this than ever before. We're having better months than ever with FDN. It continues to grow. Our practitioners, most importantly, they're having more success than ever. And this has been trending since the beginning of the pandemic until now. So again, this is kind of that projection thing. We're like, "Oh, it's a recession," or maybe we had something bad happen with our job. So I'm not being, I don't want to act like I lack empathy or sympathy for that situation. That might be real for you. It's not real for everyone. And what I've actually seen is people are more interested in their health than ever before, and they're more willing to make these types of investments than I have seen in the past 6 years personally. So in terms of something to watch out for, something that came to my head is really making sure that you are not using lazy language like the root cause stuff. And we touched on that for a different reason in the beginning. But what I mean is, you have to differentiate yourself. FDN practitioners are very different than a lot of other health coaching schools out there. We don't even really consider ourselves health coaching. It's more health consulting, because it is that different. But my point is, if I market the same way that these people who have 7 different other certifications have, when that person, if they even get on a call with me, let's assume they just go to my Instagram page or whatever, when that person sees me or talks to me for the first time, if I can't differentiate how I'm actually different than these other people, they're going to think I'm the same, even if I'm not offering the same. So something to watch out for is, it's beautiful that all these businesses are growing and there's more opportunity than ever before. So don't let my next statement get misrepresented by this. But there's more people out there doing this than ever before. So you need to let them know how you are different. And that generic marketing will kill you in the first way that we talked about, because the people that need you won't actually know that they need you. But then, gosh forbid, they do go to your Instagram or do book a call. They come in, and I've seen this, almost a little combative and a little hesitant, because they're saying, well, what about the other 7 people I worked with that said they treat the root cause or address the root cause or whatever it might be? So that's something to look out for, is with more prosperity in this space, there's more people doing it. And the less generic you can be, the better that is, I promise.
Nice. So finding out what's your signature sauce or your signature framework or signature thing you help with, problem you solve. And I agree. I think what I was going to say too is I see this world always expanding and growing, which is really exciting. And people are becoming more aware, as you said, ever since the pandemic, about how our mental health, our physical health is so important. It's the root of everything. And so I can just see it continuing to grow from here. And your program or school is changing so many lives and helping so many people start careers in the wellness field, which is what I am trying to root for, because my mission is to help as many wellness professionals as I can actually be able to grow their career, make their impact, work with clients. Because when you start that entrepreneur journey, as you know, a lot of stuff comes up and you got to overcome a lot of obstacles with learning new skills, sales and marketing, all of that. But when you do, and you get to do what you love, there's nothing better than that. And it feels very aligned. And I think we live in a time where I feel like we spend a lot of our time working, so you might as well enjoy your job. So go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, because it is beautiful to do that, right? And that's what you help allow people to do, because they come into FDN with the passion. Some are very entrepreneurial. They just fly, man. They don't need any other help. But a lot of people do need that support. So it's really cool that so many FDNs have worked with you. And I'm just glad to continue this partnership, because you forget that that's weird. Most people hate Monday through Friday, and they hide it on Saturday and Sunday and Friday night, right? So my girlfriend, when we first met, she's like, wow, you work so much. I'm like, I haven't worked in the last few years because I don't feel like it's work. I'm just having fun and doing what I want to do. I love doing this with you right now. I'm having a cool conversation. I can't do it 10 hours a day. I got to do some other things within that, but yeah, I mean, it's fun to do. So that's, man, that's healing in and of itself, being able to do work that's you actually feel good about, right?
Amen. Amen. All right. Where can everybody connect with you and FDN?
Okay, so obviously we're on Instagram right now, so please check us out. We're actually in a very special month, because if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, you're part of our open house, aren't you?
I am. I'm talking about LinkedIn. Woo-hoo.
Sweet. So
LinkedIn
we have our summer open house event going on right now for the entire month of June. There's over 20 plus events, over 20. I don't think I need over 20 plus. Over 20 events with really high level people such as Hailey, people that are actually doing this work or coaching people to do this work, and they're completely free. So fdntraining.com/summer is the place to get registered and see the list of events. If you're watching this live within the next few days, you have not missed hers yet, so definitely check that out. And you can always just DM us. I know it sounds simple, but that's really one of the best places. We have real humans that talk to you there. One is Joe Pate. She manages it mostly, and so you'll get to talk with someone who is an actual FDN that's been through this. Everything else is functionaldiagnosticnutrition.com. And shameless plug, I do the podcast for FDN, so you can check us out on the Health Detective podcast. We have over 240 episodes in counting, and Hailey is about to be one of our very rare repeat guests. I mean that seriously. That's a huge compliment to you, because there's been like maybe 10 people ever that we brought on again. So we're happy to have you.
Wow. Well, thank you for having me. Love this school, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Cool. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful, and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.